The legend himself, Muramasa. He's been a highly anticipated servant even before his release on JP, and now that he's almost here for us global players, well, let's hope you save enough Saint Courts because he's going to be an amazing arts servant. Not to mention, his attacks looks really cool. How's it going, everyone? This is Kay, and Grandpa Shirou can be yours for a guaranteed price of 900 Saint Courts. Despite the bad pity rates, I'm actually sort of happy we got it in time for my most wanted servant in FGO. But is he actually that good? Short answer, yes, as you can read from the title. He's somewhat of a high investment servant, and when compared to the best arts loopers in the game, Muramasa falls slightly behind. I'll break down his stats, skills, how to use them, some recommendations, and why he's worth your Saint Courts. So starting with his stats, Muramasa's attack is very low, ranking towards the bottom when compared to the other 5-star sabers, slightly higher than Saber Artoria, but lower than Nero Bride. HP, however, is the 4th highest. NP gains from attacks are towards the bottom half as well. Not to worry though, he's actually one of the best loopers in the game. If you perform an NP Arts Brave Chain, he'll charge roughly 51%. Of course, this depends on the amount of enemies on field and other factors like overkill. And Arts Quick Arts Brave Chain will charge around 30%, and Star Chains aren't the strongest for him, offering about 11 stars with a Buster Quick Brave Chain. Which is why it's best to use supports who can create stars for him, or at the very least equip 20/30s on them to support Muramasa's crit roll when doing CQs. For skills, it's very synergistic to his role as an NP looper and crit damage dealer. His first skill buffs the 3 types of command cards while also increasing his star gather rate and producing 15 stars. This will not only help with NP damage, but will also help with his normal attacks too, specifically Arts Crit for NP charge and Burst Crit for high damage. The skill, however, has a 4-turn downtime, so it's very long and should typically be used on the last wave or when you have the proper setup for CQs, like an NP Brave Chain with 2 attacks having 80 to 100% crit rate, for example. If you are struggling to charge his NP on waves 1 or 2 when farming, then you could use this skill for the arts boost for higher NP refund. Second skill again suits his offensive playstyle thanks to the invincibility pairs. Additionally, he'll increase star gen and crit damage. If you remember, he'll produce about 11 stars with a Buster Quick Brave Chain. With this skill, he can make about 24 stars with the same chain. The boost in crit damage makes him stronger, but his gather rate from his first skill lasts only 1 turn, so you'll need other methods to help him with star absorption, whether it be from supports, CEs, or command codes. There's another boost in crit damage when attacking enemies with evade or invincibility. It's a nice additional effect, but not a priority since you can't properly time when the enemies will use the evade or control if you get the right cards at that same time, and if you can produce enough stars for that same turn. So there's just too many RNG factors, but if timing lines up, great damage. For the regular crit damage buff, it does last 3 turns, so again, help Muramasa with crit consistency by producing stars and helping with gather rate. His final skill is truly amazing and will allow Muramasa to be one of the best loopers in FGO. Not only does it give a 50% NP battery, but each normal attack, including his extra from Brave Chains, will charge his NP by 10%. So Buster attacks, 10%, extra 10%, everything but his NP. As you can see, the combination of all 3 skills gives Muramasa all the tools for consistently looping his NP while offering good crit damage, and is a servant you want to Brave Chain as much as possible, which does rely on RNG, but it's a bit easier since all you really need are 2 normal attack cards, since he should always have his NP ready. He really benefits from having his first append skill leveled up, which increases extra attack damage. Level his skills 3, 1, 2, but if you can, max them all out. Passives are also very good since it gives him a boost in arts and crit damage. For append skills, like I said, he benefits from the first one, increasing extra attacks, which you'll do often, but the starting NP from his second append makes looping even easier, which I highly recommend. Third one is beneficial but optional. His Noble Phantasm is an arts AoE that increases damage by providing an NP damage buff along with an arts buff as an overcharge effect, both activating before damage, and what's great is that both will last 3 turns, so the more you spam his NP, the stronger it gets. On top of that, the Noble Phantasm will also ignore defense buffs, which combined with his invincibility pairs means there aren't a lot of ways enemies can really defend against Muramasa, aside from debuffing him. His NP will also remove offensive buffs on enemies, which is always useful for CQs, especially when you're spamming the attack. I'd recommend having Muramasa at least at NP 2 if you want him to be your main arts farmer. That is, of course if you can afford it. Aside from Lancers, neutral damage against 90 plus nodes can be somewhat difficult at NP1, especially when their HP approaches 250,000. For craft essence, you're going to use the Black Grail majority of the time. Since he has easy access to NP spamming, you want to maximize the damage. Basically, there's really no reason not to use it. Muramasa isn't a complex servant or anything. Of course, the standard K-scope is not the most effective CE for him, but if you are struggling with 3-turn farming, you can use it. But just know at NP1 with K-scope, he can't really consistently clear high HP nodes on neutral enemies unless you're using other buffs and supports outside the standard double Castoria, so plug suit with another buffer for example, but you might as well just use the Black Grail and have the third supporter charge his NP instead. There are other CEs like Royal Icing, Smiling Face that helps him with Arts and NP, which is what you want to focus on. For Arts crit, another ending, but I'd recommend prioritizing his NP damage more than crits. But there are other options if you don't have the Black Grail. Just make sure that CE bonus stats aren't split between HP and attack. Make sure it all goes to the attack stats, because an extra 1k or so to his stats can be very helpful. Now, command codes is where you want to focus on crit damage. There are of course some NP buffing codes, but you won't really want to use Muramasa's normal attacks before his NP, otherwise it's a waste and honestly not very effective. These are just some recommendations. Of course there's a lot more you can choose from, but focus on crit gather rates if you can, since his star absorption skill lasts only 1 turn, so you need better consistency when his skill is no longer in effect. It's best to put gather rates on his arts since you want to charge his NP and you'll gain a bonus when you crit, and Muramasa does have 2 busters, so you can give him crit damage on his busters for higher damage. Now for teams, it's no surprise, but you'll use Castorias with Muramasa majority of the time. I know it sounds very boring, but Muramasa is already good and Castoria is the servant that makes him even greater. You'll usually use at least 1 Castoria with him, if not 2. But of course, the other top tier supporters can help. Tamamo for CQs is great, Waver for extra NP charging, you know, the usual. Heck, you can even toss in Vitch Light as a buster crit support who can also charge his NP, and then you can just switch her out. On top of that, she can actually offer a 10% NP charge off of buster normal attacks, so Muramasa is charging 20% off his busters when combining his skill. Not bad for a third supporter. But I'm happy to say one of my favorite servants, Proto Merlin, is perfect with Muramasa for CQs or as a third supporter. She's basically Merlin for arts, with some differences of course, but she consistently charges MP and generates stars for everyone, helps with survivability, and can increase overcharge level, which helps Muramasa deal more NP damage thanks to his arts buff from his overcharge. She also deals 1.5 effective damage to night classes, so when facing Lancers, which you'll typically use Muramasa for, she'll be very effective as well. Overall, great synergy. So why should you pull for Muramasa? Well, he's considered to be one of the best sabers in FGO, possibly the best arts saber at the very least, strong on both farming and CQs, which is really everything you need, very easy to use, and has many supporters that can help him, and is among the top tier arts loopers with Castoria. He has very little weaknesses aside from survivability. Muramasa is also a fast-paced servant, which FGO is heavily leaning towards. Now, if you are looking for the top tier general 3-turn farmer that can beat all your high-level nodes, Muramasa is great, but he is not considered the best. If you do want the best, there are 2 servants that are considered the golden standard of Arts 3-turn farming with Castoria, and they are Space Ishtar, whose rerun banner will be out literally after Muramasa's New Year's event, so rip Saint Courts, and the second one is Summer Kama, who is also coming out next summer, so again, rip Saint Courts. This is because Avengers are naturally stronger than Sabers on neutral enemies thanks to the 110% damage modifier, not to mention both Ishtar and Kama have higher attack stats compared to Muramasa. Not only that, you won't really run into class disadvantage like Muramasa with archers. There are of course Berserker arts loopers like Zerker Sashi and in the future, Zerker Ibuki. So no, as much as I like Muramasa, if you are after the most effective 3-turn arts farmer, then he's not considered the best. This doesn't mean he's bad though, don't get me wrong, he's still really good. Again, he's just not the best. He is, however, one of the best NP loopers in general because of his third skill allowing Muramasa to charge 10% off normal attacks. His consistency is unmatched, and he will be phenomenal for everyone. Besides, It's Grandpa Shirou. You can't say no to summoning the best Gramps in FGO. But let me know if you're pulling for Muramasa. You all know I am, and I'm crazy enough to build my pity to get him 100%. It's a work in progress. I think I have like 400 Saint Courts, but we'll see how it goes. Let's hope it doesn't take all my Saint Courts and tickets, but we'll see. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future FGO videos. I will be live streaming my Muramasa polls, I think. Most likely I'll live stream it. At the very least, I'll post it. But good luck on your polls, everyone. Till next time.